So folks, we are very excited every time, at least personally for me and for ET now, when we come to Bombay Stock Exchange, there is a history, there is nostalgia, there is lots to learn, there is lot to understand and a lot to implement. And the whole evolution of Indian stock market and Bombay Stock Exchange has been nothing short of magical. Humble beginnings under a banyan tree, now the fastest stock exchange in India. The stock of BSE under the current leadership has been a multi-bagger. Things are really moving in the right direction. But when it comes to BSE, I would take the clock back before I rewind it forward. And when Hemendra Bhai is there, we really want to take the clock really back with him. So, what's your association as a family with Bombay Stock Exchange? हमने कहानियां सुनी है, आज कथाकार से कहानी सुनते हैं.
Well, my great grandfather, who I should give credit that he was started somewhere in 1866, and then he was one of the founder member and director and first vice president of the Bombay Stock Exchange. The stock exchange started somewhere in 75, and I see the certificate in 78. But anyway, the question is, there is a history for us. My grandfather, my great grandfather, my grandfather, my father, and myself, we all were president of the stock exchange. So I think it's a place where I think of how our own family wealth and prosperity was there because of Bombay Stock Exchange. So those were the days when I joined in 1969. 69 year when I joined, there was a bank nationalization. There was a forward trading got banned. And in spite of that, I was lucky to make every year more money than before. So that was a situation when also the emergency that decade came. There was a war, there was a restrictions on various kind of trading. So anyway, the stock exchange has gone from what I used to see and today as multifold expansion on shareholders. I think that is the biggest plus point for the capital market formation. And that's in short, which I thought I'll just tell you. Stock exchange is, whether it is Bombay Stock Exchange or National Stock Exchange, it definitely gives a lot of interest to the world. I recollect in 1984, I started talking about getting foreign investors. And 2 years it took me to get first approval to create a country fund. With Unit Trust of India, we had kept as that DSP and Merrill Lynch joined hands to raise money, and 2 years to explain to government and not to bring them down, but to explain what is PE and why equity and not fixed income only. So I think those are the nostalgic days when we had to work hard to get foreign investor approval. 1991 was, of course, a year where Manmohan Singh liberalized from various restrictions on the size of the enterprise, even they have to take approval. So from there onwards, we have seen India moving forward fast on industrialization. And 92, 93, 92, I think, they allowed the foreign investors to come and invest directly through over here. And we have seen raising of GDR, ADR in USA. So the picture changed and the size of the organization in India also changed. I remember taking Mr. Kamath to raising money for ICICI, and various companies from TCS onwards to Birla companies and Reliance. So I'm glad that I'm today here in the stock exchange, which is made a difference to Indian investors in India and to some extent globally.
Mr. Kotari, you've seen the twist and the turns. You spoke about the emergency era, you talk about nationalization of the banks, then you had the South Asian crisis, TMT boom and bust, 2008 crisis. But throughout your time, Mr. Kotari, you've kept the faith in the Indian stock markets. At times of turbulence and uncertainty, can you tell our viewers that how have you kept yourself calm and why have you kept yourself calm and why have you not panicked?
Well, maybe I was over conservative. That could be the reason. We never did any though being a stockbroker, we never did any forward trading. And so we did not take a risk. We focused on only pure broking. And then later on in 75, started an investment banking company called DSP Financial Services. And I was a dreamer. I started looking for foreign companies, how can they come to India? We raised for many companies. We are tied up in 84 with the German Bank, 83 German Bank, 84 Merrill Lynch, Swiss Bank Corporation today, which is UBS, French Exim Bank, BFCE those days, and IBJ Japanese Bank. So I had a different, would say, experience. And I was lucky to be there at the right time. And I was very lucky to get right people in the organization. So that was the reason for, to some extent, you can say, my success and our company's success. So I'm glad to have all these years of good fortune with me.
Mr. Misri, I'll have to run out of superlatives to describe the journey of HDFC Limited, now HDFC Bank. You'll have to literally count the zeros to understand the kind of wealth it has created. What, to your mind, really have been the three differentiated factors which has really created a world-class institute like HDFC Limited, now HDFC Bank, which has been a benchmark in itself?
So, Nikunj, when I joined HDFC in 1981, October 1981, our share total paid up capital was 10 crores. 10 crores. And our market capitalization was about 8.5 crores.
8.5 crores was the
It was
market
trading
cap.
below market, below par. That was 1981 October. At the time of the merger in 2022, 41 odd years later, our market capitalization was over 60 billion with a B dollars. That was the kind of wealth that Touchwood we created. And besides HDFC itself, we had a number of companies. We had the bank, we had the life insurance, general insurance, asset management, HDFC Credila, venture capital, real estate, all of that. So if you take the total market capitalization of all the listed companies in the group at the time of the merger, it was about 175 billion US dollars.
Wow.
That was the kind of wealth we created. If you ask me what was it that contributed to that, I would say number one, truly the highest standards of governance. We were willing to compromise on people not being very efficient, not being very great in their job, but even the slightest, even the tiniest question on governance would never ever be tolerated. So that I would say would be one principle. Second principle is we kept the headcount very low, very small. We didn't have too many people. For an asset base as big as ours, we had just about 4,500 employees in HDFC Limited at the time of the merger. We invested a lot in technology and systems, and we kept an atmosphere in the company which was free of politics. If you ask me honestly, that was I consider that as one of the most important contributors to our growth, and everyone contributed. And the third I would say is that we had very, very clear goals that we set for ourselves. You know, I used to meet international investors from the 90s after, as Hemendra Bhai said, foreign investors, started coming into India in the mid-90s. And I used to continuously meet these investors. And in the 90s, late 90s, we had no competition. And then suddenly the banks started getting in, State Bank came in, ICICI came in, and some of these banks started sending, people over to customers' houses to help them fill up forms and stuff like that. We never had all that. So our investors used to come and say, okay, you are losing market share. Obviously, if you have 99% market share and someone comes in, you will lose some market share. So we continuously kept telling our investors that we have 4 very, very clear objectives that we set for ourselves. And these objectives did not revolve only on growth. Growth, yes, but growth in a profitable manner, not growth for the sake of growth. So there was clarity of thought in what we wanted to do. And we kept saying that in a financial services business, market share is the most irrelevant thing. Because when you are in the business of lending, you can get all the market share you want. You sacrifice your asset quality, you sacrifice your lending norms, you sacrifice your margins, you can get all the growth you want. But that is not going to contribute to long-term profitability. So our objective was, number 1, growth, but profitable growth. Number 2, increase our return on equity by 100 basis points every single year, which we did from 1994 till 2009. If you see, every single year, return on equity went up by 100 basis points. Third was every single year to lower the cost-income ratio. Our target at that time was to bring it down to single digit. And finally, we brought it down at the lowest it had come down to about 8.1% or so. And the fourth was to take no asset liability mismatch, run a very simple business, don't take any unnecessary risks. Growth opportunities were always there. India was growing and India continued to grow. And I truly believe that even today, the growth opportunity for financial services in India is absolutely phenomenal.
I just want to take that number again for the benefit of our viewers. What was the initial share capital of HDFC Limited?
Paid up capital was 10 crores. I mean, at the time I joined in 1981. Paid up capital, and HDFC was 2 years old at that time. 10 crores, and the market capitalization on the day I joined was 8 crore 50 lakhs, 8 crore 50 lakhs roughly.
So it was below par.
It was below par. Profits were less than a crore.
And when the merger happened, the combined entity, all the group companies
170 billion US dollars. 170 billion.
I'll run out of that typical counting style. You need to understand the multiplication it has had. Now, Mr. Ramamurthy, there is BSE of the past, there is BSE of the present, and then BSE of the future. What should we start with?
Whatever your viewers would love to hear.
The past and the future is what viewers would like to understand. And the present for BSE under your leadership has been nothing short of incredible. I mean, BSE itself has become a multi-bagger stock now. From the COVID low of about sub 300 rupees, it is now nearing 3,000 rupees. A lot of attribution is going to your leadership, that you've changed the things. You've really got the motions into play for BSE. What is that one incremental change which you've done at BSE that the energy levels are back? Excitement is back. Shareholders are happy.
Okay, so you might have seen the Mahabharat serial, which always used to start with my Samay Ho. So if somebody were to make a serial, my BSE Ho, I think it will cover all these great things that have happened. And you will see a lot of lessons to be learned, lot of principles to be done, lot of do's and lot of don'ts. When I joined BSE probably around 15 months back, clearly there was a lot of legacy as you started with, a lot of nostalgia, a lot of history. But I came here to make the future, to whatever extent I can, in the limited time that I have. 2 principles which takes you through ages have been nicely narrated by the 2 great doyens with whom I have today the pleasure and the greatness of sharing the same dais, which I am very honored and humbled about. One, both of them talked about corporate governance, and 2, they talked about risk-taking within the limits, not over risk-taking. The third thing, which I thought is very important for me to change things, was listen to the voice of customers. People like me come and go. People like this history have been there for a long time. There are a lot of participants in the market who have been there for a very, very long time. You just go and listen to them and understand what they want you to do for the betterment of market. And it works. Voice of customer works. That's the only thing which I think I'm trying to do, because of which today BSE is starting to grow in a good way.
Three, two, one. Mr. Mistry alluded to a very important corporate number, market share. And BSE was always compared with the other exchange when it comes to market share. They were losing the relevance, if I may use the word, but they're getting the market share back. They're getting the profit back. Which is that wheel you were able to turn that everything is moving in the right direction, both in terms of profit, market share, and also the future business.
So if you look at it, exchange is a high fixed cost game. So the fixed cost to some extent was already put in place in terms of various things like technology, people, all were in place. So there have to be users to this. When users come in and they start using this high fixed cost model, then they start giving you revenue. For people to come, there should be something as a USP for you to offer, because of which they can come. So for that you have to listen to them to find out what they want. The way the Indian markets have grown over a period of time, derivatives have started playing a very important role in attracting volume, not in derivatives alone, in all the other segments around it. So one of the very reasons for BSE losing market share was its absence totally in derivatives. When it is not in derivatives, many participants don't come here to do derivatives. Post interoperability. If they are going to some exchange for doing something, they would like to continue with the same exchange for everything there, instead of putting another set of expenditure and infrastructure at their end to connect to both the exchanges and get any benefit. So if you are able to attack the derivatives piece and bring something which makes sense for the market, when the market participants come, they put their infrastructure, and once they are put, they would like to milk it as much as they could, then they will start using my other segments. So that's how the Sensex contract and BankX contract were born, and with that, more and more people started coming in, and when more and more people started coming in, they have started looking at cash market as well. So the volumes are growing there. It's not that we have reached. There is a long way to go. Today, the institutional presence in equities market, which is not dependent on derivatives, is still absent. When you look at domestic institutions, they generally give you a typical type of reply when you go, which needs to be attacked separately. When you go to foreign participants, they say, I don't mind trading, but I want a single contract note. I can't, for a same order, receive from two different exchanges 2 contract notes, because I require a single VWAP. We are working with everybody concerned, every stakeholder in this. If such resolutions happen, then even more you will be able to see traction in cash market. Mutual fund, we are doing well. We will continue to do well because we are putting a lot of energy there. Derivatives, we are growing. We have to do more to grow in the right way.
So if I can become that Samay right now, we are in 2024, but hypothetically if we are celebrating the BSE day 2030, अगर मैं समय हूँ तो मैं क्या बोलूँगा?
देखिए, कल को किसी ने देखा नहीं, आप कल की बात भी नहीं कर रहे हो. You are talking 2030, which is 5 साल down the lane. We can only dream, and it is very essential to dream. As Kothari Sahib rightly said, only dreamers achieve something. So let us dream something. We would certainly expect the market, the economy, the prosperity, all at a very different level. That is one thing which every one of us will even today be able to foresee, because the way the country has been growing in the recent past, with the amount of political stability, with the amount of regulatory keenness in ensuring the growth of market, and the amount of effort which MIIs are ready to put along with the regulators to make that happen, they have been stupendous. What I would like to see, therefore, 5 years down the lane is just not equity and equity asset classes alone. I would like to see a major development in terms of corporate bonds, government bonds, derivatives products associated with them. These are all today looking to be a slightly a longer term situation, despite the fact we have been trying for a long time. There has to be a proper interest rate curve across all price points, with actively traded securities across all price points. The corporate bonds also should be active along all the entire curve, so that it is very easy for me to quantify and assess the corporate risk from that. There are multitudes of products today which are traded across the globe. We probably do not have many of them. All those products coming in place, making more and more people to get the benefit of it, the market capitalization going up today, the assets under management of all the things put together, all the people holders put together, I'm told it's around 15% of GDP. That's not a great number compared to the global standards.
Still less than 10%.
Absolutely. So it has to grow a lot. So there are multitudes of areas where we will see prosperity growing, and that's where I would like to see in 2030.
Kothari Saab, 2024 to 2030. You've seen there was a time when steel companies were the market leaders. Cement became a market leader. IT became a market leader. Financials became a market leader. AI is becoming a market leader. Where do you think the puck would move? आप मेरे से ज़्यादा जानते हैं that markets always focuses on क्या होने वाला है rather than क्या हुआ है. अब क्या होने वाला है market?
First of all, let me just tell you, the time when I was there, the number of shareholders was less than 1 crore across India. The issues were coming 10, 15 crores. Gujarat, Narmada Valley, I'm talking 20 crores or something around there, was considered huge. How will they sell? And today we are talking about thousands of crores.
Vodafone 20,000 crore.
20,000 crores. See, look at that. So the question which is there is, things are changing very fast. And I think we are growing into kind of growth path with more investors getting educated and more proper compliance also, which is driving the market into proper way, as he has mentioned. And more people become ethical and compliance-based business. I think what we will see change. We are at the threshold of a growth. I've never been so bullish about next 10 years than ever before.
ये दोबारा बोलिए सर.
I have never been so bullish of the next 10 years than today, because we have seen already the new industrialists, new business people, new venture capitalists. They tomorrow, in next 5 to 10 years, you'll see they becoming bigger, with AI coming in, with technology driving India. I think I see a lot of bright future for the country, and government realizing that has kept the policies like that. And I hope in future also the policies are friendly for the business. That's all I can say.
Mr. Mistry, last but one question to you. There's a concern in the market that best of HDFC Bank and HDFC Limited is behind us. एक cycle है, and that young phase of growth for HDFC Bank is behind us. Now they are hitting what could be called as the old age and the maturity curve.
No, I completely disagree. Totally, completely, absolutely disagree. As Hemendra said, the growth opportunity that we are going to see in India in the coming 10 years is going to be absolutely phenomenal. Phenomenal. So no matter what your size is, you will be able to grow and grow and grow rapidly on that base. Look, I think the last 6 months have been a period of very tight liquidity. Now, in that period of tight liquidity, HDFC Bank's deposits have not grown as much in rupee terms as perhaps the market expected. But the fact of the matter is that market share in deposits, now I'm coming back to this question of market share. Market share in deposits has actually gone up. So despite that very large base that they carry, they are still increasing their market share of deposits. So liquidity will come back into the system. I have no doubt about it. In my personal opinion, and I tend to be a slightly different view compared to what the market is. People expect interest rate cuts or liquidity infusion in the system to come in the very latter part of the year. In my personal opinion, purely my personal opinion, I think that if RBI feels confident that the monsoons this year will be fine, there'll be no escalation in food prices, and number two, more importantly, there is no geopolitical event like we are seeing in the Middle East now, which can theoretically cause a big spike in oil prices, then RBI will start infusing more liquidity into the system, probably June, July, August onwards. So you will start seeing more liquidity coming in. The growth in deposits will also come in, and as growth in deposits comes in, the growth in lending will also happen. As you said, there are phases in life. So this is a phase we are going through. The phase that you are going through is a phase where money is not moving necessarily to bank deposits, but a lot of that money is going to equity, and people have made a lot of money, and good luck to them. India, as Hemendra said, has a very underpenetrated market in terms of equity investors. If you are in a small town and you had 10,000 rupees with you, what would you do? You would go to the nearest, I'm talking of pre-COVID, you'd go to the nearest bank and deposit your money over there. Today, everyone has access to smartphones, even in the smallest of towns. Everyone knows what everybody else is doing. Everyone knows what kind of opportunities are there in the market. So money which would have normally gone to bank deposits is now going to stock market. But as I said, these are phases. India is a growing population. We are such a hugely underpenetrated market. So hugely underpenetrated. You ask Hemendra about sectors. In my view, the sector that will grow the most will be the financial sector, because the economy cannot grow unless the financial sector grows. If you look at penetration level, any financial service product you see, penetration level in India is amongst the lowest in the world. If you look at mortgages today are 11% of GDP. In the Western world, mortgages are 50, 60, 70% of GDP. If you look at at markets like India, the developing markets, mortgages are around 20, 25% of GDP. We are so underpenetrated. Look at retail credit to GDP. We are about 18% of GDP. Most Western countries are 50, 60, 70, 100% of GDP. So look at the scope that you will see to grow not just for one decade, but I think for several decades. So finance will be the backbone of the growth in the economy, in my view. And obviously, HDFC Bank will be a very, very big participant in that.
Hemendra bhai, a final question to you. The Sensex, since inception, has given a CAGR return of about 13 to 14% depending on the cut point you are looking at. For next 10 to 15 years, do you think historical Sensex average could be intact?
I think the kind of interest rate today, it beats interest rate, first of all. So we assume 6 to 7% interest rate. So I think it should beat it by a few percentage at least.
So double digit is what you
It should at least, if not much more.
1 लाख सेंसेक्स की घंटी बजाने में जल्दी आने वाले 75,000 तो हो गया.
So we are saying on a continuous basis, I think we'll see the market growing, and ups and downs for various reasons will happen, but that's kind of temporary. People have seen who are long-term investors, either directly or through mutual funds or through pension funds or anyway, they made good money, and I think the confidence has now the investors got, experience they got. So highly ethical companies were and also, as you said, compliance-based companies, they are bound to attract more money, and that's way I look at things.
तो जाने से पहले कुछ इस रिंग के बारे में कुछ खट्टी मीठी याद बताइए. कहाँ पर ट्रेडिंग होती थी, आप कहाँ पर ट्रेड करते थे, आप कहाँ पर खड़े होते थे?
अल्लाह तो ये ट्रेडिंग इसमें खास हुआ ही नहीं. This was started, and then we went into online trading.
Okay.
So basic focus change from this place to sitting in the office and doing trading. So he started a little bit on the computers initially, but my memory says that. But all the things went in fact into from the offices and the transactions started taking place. So I think things have changed. The time when I was talking, I've seen myself open cry and trying to do business, and people running there, the jobbers running to the broking firm and trying to get orders. And from there, what has happened?
So shor sharaba hota tha. There's a lot of hoo-ha in this place is what I was being told.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a lot of
And what
about it. Pardon?
What was the trading time?
My memory says 12 to 3 or something, 12 to 2:30 or something.
12 to 3. I was purposely asking that timing ka question on trading because the CEO will have the last word on trading timing. 12 to 3 was the original trading timing. Now it's about 9 to 3:30. Everybody is saying that 3:30 will get extended to 5:30. Some are saying 6:30, some are saying 7.
See, I think what is plus point which has happened, in my days, Security Exchange Board was just coming. It was not got aggregation, for example. So we have to give credit to SEBI for bringing a discipline in the market, also on the point of view. And also the stock exchanges, BSE, NSE, both of them. And today, brokers all over the countries, they are participating in this. And to manage that with compliance, I'm sure is a tough job for BSE, NSE and SEBI to manage that. And they've done fantastically well, I must say that.
And I always say that the reason why Indian markets are commanding this kind of an P multiple is because of the regulation, the exchanges, the speed of transaction, the ease of doing money, the openness of settlement. Who would have thought that a 15-day cycle could actually become T+1 and a fully T+0 going forward? But I have to ask you a question every time we meet. Any update on increasing market hour? You always focus on customer demand and customer needs. Is the need from a customer to extend the market hour? Getting those feelers?
So like I always say, we are an infrastructure provider. So we are like the highway. The highway is open 24/7. It depends on the users. If the users want it to be opened up for the entire day, we are available. If the users want it from only up to 3:30, we are available. So for us, I always say this, you might have recollected it. Chammach kya jani, kheer ka swad. We are here to padose whatever is there in this. Whoever wants to use however much we are ready to give. It's a question of what market ultimately wants and comes up with whatever requirement.
But as of now, there is no requirement.
Nothing that has been
Actually,
textualized.
if you try to do that, you can do it. But the point is it required? Second thing is, it can create a lot of more people requirements. And there is a limit for a person continuously focus in doing work, correct? So I think we are at a reasonable level as of just now.
Mr. Mistry, Mr. Kothari, so thank you very much for joining us. It is BSE Day, and indeed it is the BSE Day. Well, no special occasion, but I guess now it becomes very special the minute you have the dons of the Indian financial industry and the CEO of BSE. So I was being asked that why did we choose the day today? Well, now you have the answer, because we have 3 dons of financial market coming together and telling us about the past, the current and the future.
I'm in no way comparable to them. They're really history. I'm a very small person in this.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.